One of the anchor points of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration is zero tolerance for corruption, and that agenda can only be achieved if we all play our parts by joining the campaign. Hello and welcome to the program, The Eagle. My name is Aisha Gambari. In this edition, we take a look at the EFCC's effort in the ongoing fight against corruption in the country. What are the success stories? Is the Commission winning the war? And what are the challenges so far? All these answers will be provided in our special report for the week. Also on the program, our reporter Golden Agu will represent a special feature on the gender bias of corruption. This will include on-the-spot interviews with respondents on the street. It is an interesting package. Please sit back as we take a short break. The program continues shortly. Don't go away.
Corruption is a cankerworm, na cankerworm. I say na cankerworm, na cankerworm. Corruption don't finish our country. Nigeria women rise up and come together, oh yeah.
Every woman come out, but we fight corruption together, oh. Every woman fall out, but we kill corruption together, oh.
Them they thief our money, send them obodo yibo. Children they suffer every day, better school in no day. Nigeria women come, oh, women from every sector, make we fight corruption, we won't kill our country. Them go collect money for light, chop the money, light we no see. Good road and good health we no see. I say na cankerworm, oh, na cankerworm, oh.
Join the EFCC in its crusade to rid Nigeria of corruption. Nigeria, now we all know.
Thank you for staying tuned. Despite the negative effects of corruption on the society, the allure for corruption could be irresistible. The profiles of persons standing trial for corruption in Nigeria cut across every social strata and professional standings. But could there be a gender issue when it comes to the issue of stealing? Does the cliché, what a man can do, a woman can, holds true for corruption? Put bluntly, who is more corrupt between a man and a woman? Our reporter Golden Agu went down to town to seek answers to these poser. Her report is very intriguing. Over to you, Golden.
In recent times, the word corruption has formed part of our everyday conversation. It affects every part of the society, and one begins to wonder if this has something to do with gender or other factors. The Eagle team is on the streets of Abuja to find out what people think about this.
You are conversant with the word corruption.
Of course, I'm conversant with the word. I know what it means.
Okay, between a man and a woman, who do you think is more corrupt?
Well, if you want to classify based on gender, in Nigeria, you never can tell, because the fact is that most of the women have not been given the opportunity to handle political posts. So we can't really say the men are more corrupt than the women.
I can say that men are more corrupt than women.
Okay, why do you say so much?
Because you can see that in the offices that the women held or are still holding, you will find out that few of them, are corrupt in the offices. But in the side of men, I will say almost all of them, they are so self-centered. They know about themselves and their families. So I know that they are just, they are not serving the populace. That they are just to enrich themselves. But the women have the fear of God. There are fear of God in women because they are mothers.
I think the both are corrupt.
The number of men found guilty of corrupt practices outweigh the number of women in Nigerian context. But what I discover in essence is that the level, the gravity of the corruption among women, the few women, outweigh that of the men. The in-depth, the level at which they go in the corrupt practices is more of the men. But when we talk about the statistics, the number, in terms of the number, the men outweigh that of the women.
Though both engage in corrupt practices, men are more corrupt than women. It is because men always try to accumulate wealth by any means, while women always think of their immediate families.
Yeah, I think the men are more corrupt because they tend to have more responsibilities. The women are just there under the men. So the men still tend to do what? Be more corrupt. Yes.
Okay, why do you think so? Should it be that whenever you have a lot of responsibilities, that you have the justification to be corrupt?
Yes, you see that the man is the head of the family. And every responsibility comes to the man. So you can look at, if you go to most of these ministries, agencies and government parastatals, all the men you find there, they are all married people. They have to take care of their children, both academically, financially and otherwise. And they have their own personal responsibilities to cater for.
Okay, you think that's the reason why they tend to be more corrupt?
Yes, that's the reason.
Men is the one who corrupt. Because why? Men, they are the one doing these things to be so very difficult for women. You understand me? This corruption starts from men. Women think back, but man doesn't think back. You understand me? Women understand that my children will eat. Men, it's not like that. We women want everybody to be okay, but men, they want their own pocket to full and go outside the country.
Yes, men are always at the front of corruption, abuse of office, and embezzlement of government funds.
While some people attributed corruption to a particular gender, given various reasons, others have this to say.
To put it in proper perspective, it's not as if Nigeria is the only corrupt nation in the world. There are other corrupt nations. But the difference between Nigeria and some of these developed countries, the level or the incidence of corruption in such countries is not as high as it is in our own country, whereby it stymies development, it stymies the functioning of the states. You see? So it's not really an issue of whether men are more corrupt than women. I would say it's rather an issue of how can we tackle corruption.
Well, it depends on individual. You know, a man can be corrupt, a woman can be corrupt.
Generally, I think men are more corrupt than women. Though it's all based on individual experiences, but the men, if you look at the ratio, men are more corrupt than women because while women, sometimes they have a heart, a compassionate heart, and even if they want to be, they might not be as hardened as the men folks are, but generally the men are modern.
Could masculinity be an explanation for the high number of men indicted for corruption?
Because of the rigidity of man can be very, very corrupt. Now a woman is very, very flexible. When you say do this and you go back to tell her, a woman can easily turn. But a man had a hardened heart. He doesn't believe anything can happen to him. In the office, when you say, woman, if you do this thing, they will deal with you. You say, sorry, I won't do it again.
A woman here is a very weak vessel comparable to men. And then when we talk about issue in offices, you could see that men are highly, highly corrupt.
Others, however, strongly believe that women are more corrupt.
Honestly speaking, without missing words, to say the facts, the women are more corrupt.
Okay, so why do you say so?
Okay. There is a saying that behind every successful man there is a woman. And I'm still saying today that behind every corrupt man there is a woman.
Since we don't have women in government, I think the government was very, very okay. But since they came into government, everything in government gets scattered. I think if they should arrest women, I think I would be more happy. I'm a woman anyway, but I never like women one day because of the kind of mind they have towards men. I don't like it.
Okay.
You understand? They are more corrupt. I don't like women. As well as I'm a woman. You understand?
That means you don't like yourself.
I don't like even myself. I don't like myself. You understand? I hate their character. I don't like women for anything.
In spite of all this, is there a way forward?
The government has to do something about it because, like they say, when the fish starts to rot, it begins from the head. Also, it's the same thing when change comes. I mean real change. When it comes, it starts from the leadership. With good leadership and with sincerity of purpose, corruption will be wiped out.
The way forward is to be sincere within ourselves. Be a good Nigerian, patriotic Nigerian. If you are a good Nigerian, wherever you are, you excel.
Our recent government have been taking the very right direction, but at least bring some people to books. Even the high class one, the people we always see as untouchable. When you make example and scapegoat of people, I think the upcoming one will desist from such practices.
The way forward is just, knowing God. That means fear of God. When you have God in you, I don't think you have any, any means of trying to do anything that will dent the image of your country. It is clear that the fight against corruption is not meant for the government and the anti-graft agencies alone. The society has a huge role to play, and it starts with you and me. Golden Ago, reporting for the Eagle.
Thank you, Golden, for that report. Very interesting revelations, I must say. But the issue of corruption cannot be determined by a particular factor because it cuts across every aspect of our society. It is important to remind ourselves that if we don't come together to wage a war against this menace, it will destroy our country. Let us all shun all acts of corruption for a better Nigeria. Moving on next on the program, we'll bring to you a special documentary where Aisha Mohammed will take us through the EFCC's effort in the ongoing fight against corruption. Is the Commission winning the war? What are the success stories and the challenges so far? Over to you, Aisha.
That corruption remains a major problem in Nigeria hardly does justice to the efforts being made to tackle the Malay. Perhaps those who have had the opportunity of working closely with the anti-corruption agencies can truly appreciate the efforts and sacrifices of the officers who daily toil to tackle a Malay that has become virulent, undermining the nation's economic health. Indeed, former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Kanu Agabi was spot on when he remarked recently at an award ceremony organized by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) that the men and women that the nation shall remember are those like you who are serving selflessly and honestly. The men and women that the world has immortalized are not those who sacrificed others, but those who sacrificed themselves. The sacrifices which officers of the EFCC have made for their country can be better appreciated through a dispassionate appraisal of the activities of the anti-graft agency in the last few years under Ibrahim Magu as acting chairman. Not many Nigerians would have forgotten the public profile of the agency before Magu took the reins. Activity profile was low, with many chickling calling the commission a toothless bulldog that was deep slumber. That era seemed consigned to the dustbin of history. Magu has succeeded in restoring the credibility of the agency through a carefully designed program of reprofessionalization that set new benchmark for professional and ethical conduct among officers and men. The emphasis on professionalism meant that the Commission had to set new ways of doing things and a new paradigm shift in its operations. The gains of the reforms are manifest for all to see. For the year ended 2016, the agency recorded about 200 convictions, with assets tuning into several billions of naira recovered. In the first quarter of 2017, EFCC announced it has recorded over 100 convictions in the light of the shenanigans that goes on in the Nigerian judicial system. Perhaps more significant is the fact that the record includes that of a former governor, oil magnate, who profited from a dubious subsidy regime, among others. On January 26, 2017, Justice Latifa Okunu of the Lagos High Court Ikeja convicted Walter Wabasoma, Chairman Ontario Oil and Gas Limited, and Ada Ugongadi, Managing Director of the company, on an 8-count amended charge bordering on conspiracy, obtaining by false pretense, conspiracy to commit forgery, and altering of documents in an oil subsidy fraud. The EFCC had in 2013 accused them of involvement in a 1.9 billion naira oil subsidy fraud. The judge sentenced them to 10 years for conspiracy, 10 years for obtaining by false pretense, 7 years for conspiracy to commit forgery, 8 years for forgery, and 8 years for altering of documents. On March 1, 2017, a former caretaker chairman Ogori Magogo local government area of Kogi State, Gabriel Daudu, lost his appeal to overturn the guilty verdict passed on him by Justice Iyang Eko of the Federal High Court Lokoja. Daudu was on April 25, 2016, convicted on 77 counts of fraud and sentenced to 2 years on each of the count for which he was convicted. On March 6, 2017, EFCC secured the conviction of former Adamawa State Governor Bala Ingilari in a trial that was concluded in 7 months. Justice Nathan Musa of the Adamawa State High Court sentenced him to 5 years in prison for procurement fraud. It was a landmark achievement for the EFCC, being the first time in about 7 years that a former state governor prosecuted by the anti-graft agency will be convicted by a Nigerian court. On April 7, 2017, Justice Adebukola Banjoko of the Federal Capital Territory High Court Gudu convicted Jibril Ruwaye, his company Brila Energy Limited and Alminor Resources Limited for a 1.05 billion naira subsidy fraud. Other notable convictions include the conviction of Innocent Clinton and Emmanuel Okani by Justice Saad Muhammad of Gombe State High Court on March 23rd for 2 counts of conspiracy and theft brought against them by the EFCC. They were found guilty on an 864,000 naira fraud which they perpetrated by hacking into bank accounts using stolen bank verification numbers through which they duped their victims. These convictions are indicative of improved investigation and prosecution by the EFCC in the last 2 years. Perhaps the most phenomenal achievement by the Commission is in the area of recovery of stolen funds. In the first quarter of 2017, the Commission, acting on intel from whistleblowers, uncovered huge cash, some hidden in the most unlikely places. The cash haul include the $43 million, 27,000 pounds, 23 million naira cash stashed in a private residence located on Osborne Road, Ikoyi, Lagos. The Commission had also recovered $9.8 million and 74,000 pounds from the home of a former group managing director of NNPC, Andrew Yakubu, located in the slum of Sabantasha, Kaduna. Equally, another whopping sum of 448,500,000 naira were recovered from a shop of Legico Shopping Plaza, Victoria Island, Lagos. Still in Lagos, 442 million naira and 250 million naira were equally uncovered in Legico Shopping Complex and Balogun Market, both in Lagos. The EFCC also intercepted a cash haul of about 49 million naira at the Kaduna International Airport. In total, the Commission has recovered the sum of 35,930,373,278 naira 50 kobo and $975,694.50 as final forfeiture from the popular Arms Gate, or the Suki Gate as it's popularly called. Also, an interim forfeiture has been granted on 6,489,645,390 naira 58 kobo, 15,823,725.77, $74,790.65, $8,821.63, all from the Dasuki Gate. The list is not exhaustive. In the vigorous pursuit of its law enforcement mandate, the Commission in the last 2 years sent a forceful message that impunity would no longer be condoned by taking on the high and mighty in the society. For the very first time in the history of Nigeria, senior military officers including former service chiefs were investigated and arraigned on corruption charges. The now infamous Armsgate or the Sukigate saga has witnessed the prosecution of the likes of Air Marshal Alex Badi, former Chief of Defence Staff, Adeshola Amosun, former Chief of Air Staff, and several other serving and retired generals for allegedly siphoning monies meant for the procurement of arms for the fight against insurgency in the northeast into their pockets. There is also the investigation into the $115 million Dizani Alison Madueke bribe meant to influence the outcome of the 2015 presidential elections, for which many politicians and officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission are currently being prosecuted in court. Also, 7 judges and very senior lawyers are equally standing trial for corruption. They include Justice Rita Ajumogobia, Justice Unguta, etc. While it has taken its law enforcement endeavors to new heights, the EFCC on the Magu has not lost sight of its preventive mandate. Compelled by a realization that the fight against corruption can only acquire the needed attraction if all Nigerians have a buy into the campaign, the Commission created a project to mobilize all Nigerian women to become active combatants in the anti-corruption army. The Women Against Corruption program was flagged off on December 7, 2016 at the International Conference Center, Abuja, with the wife of the President, Hajia Aisha Buhari, as co-convener and guest of honor. Zonal rollout of the Women Against Corruption program commenced almost immediately, with the Southwest Zonal rollout taking place in Lagos, February 22, 2017. Other zones are built to follow soon. The Ibrahim Magu-led EFCC also hosted the first ever anti-corruption summit at the EFCC Academy Karo, Abuja, tagged Building National Anti-Corruption Consensus in a Multi-Agency Environment on March 27, 2017. Present were Adams Oshomole, former Edo State Governor, Chukwuka Utazi, Chairman Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes, Kayode Oladele, Chairman House of Representatives Committee on Drugs, Narcotics and Financial Crimes, Justice Joseph Oyewole of the Court of Appeal, among other dignitaries. At the summit, Magu assured Nigerians that every kobo taken illegally from the Treasury will be traced, recovered and returned. Furthermore, the Commission has strengthened its communications section with the creation of a Directorate of Public Affairs, which in the last couple of years stepped up the Commission's sensitization efforts through 3 units in the department, namely Media and Publicity Unit, Public Interface and Enlightenment and Reorientation Units. A 4th unit, Media Academy, organized training and refresher courses for media and public relation officers of law enforcement agencies. Using various media platforms, including the traditional and social media, the department stepped up the tempo of sensitization and public education on financial crimes issues. Aside from churning out a number of enlightenment publications, the Commission's media presence is buoyed by through the extension of the broadcast of its weekly electronic media program, The Eagle, to more stations. It currently airs on 4 English and 1 Hausa station. The online platforms of the Commission presently are Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Audioboo, YouTube, and Instagram. People do not need to physically visit the Commission to receive answers to their questions on any issue, as the Commission's official email is actively used to receive and respond to international and local inquiries and complaints. The email is info@efccnigeria.org. Indeed, slowly but steadily, the anti-graft agency is altering the narrative of criminal prosecution in Nigeria and setting a standard for law enforcement agencies within and outside of the country. Global confidence in the EFCC has been restored under Magu. More donor organizations and foreign law enforcement agencies are now eager to do business with the EFCC, opening fresh lines of partnership and collaboration with the attendant benefit of improved capacity. The Commission is closely working with the U.S. Department of Justice, the FBI, UK National Crime Agency, UK Serious Fraud Office, United Kingdom, the Netherlands police, to mention but a few. These relationships geared towards seamless investigations of transnational economic and financial crimes, as well as the tracing and recovery of looted funds and assets. The Commission has been actively involved in the tracing and recovery of stolen assets, both within and outside jurisdiction. It has also been instrumental in securing the cooperation of countries such as the United Arab Emirates in supporting the anti-money laundering efforts of the Nigerian government. All this signposts the Magu-led EFCC's unflinching commitment to the anti-corruption mandate of the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration and its concurrence on the solemn verdict of the president that, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. The EFCC has in 2 years shown that courage and dedicated leadership can bring to the table in our nation's quest to be free from the voice grips of corruption. Here are some graphical presentation of the achievement of the EFCC under the leadership of Ibrahim Mustafa Magu.
And with that special report, we wrap it up on this week's edition of the program, The Eagle. Please don't forget to send your feedback to us via theeagle@efccnigeria.org. And if you have missed any part of this program, log on to youtube.com/official EFCC. You can also search for us on Google Plus at official EFCC or official EFCCNG@gmail.com. Don't forget to also like our page on facebook.com/official EFCC or follow us on Twitter at official EFCC. I remain yours sincerely, Aisha Gambari, saying thank you for watching. Bye-bye.